Let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to a new season of Thicc Radio, the podcast where we talk about gaining, fetishism, and everything in their orbit. I'm James.
And I'm Tim, so let's get into it.
Oh, Tim.
Yes.
Welcome to season 4, baby.
Season 4.
Fucking 4. Oh my
Jesus. Why does it feel like we've been doing it a lot longer, though? Why does it feel like we should be in season 7 or 8?
Because we've been best friends forever, but also because the fucking pandemic thing is not over, because COVID is still very real and the world has moved on, and yet, time is a flat circle. You know, we only met in 2021. We've only known each other 3 years.
Where's that come from, by the way, that saying that you always say that time is a flat circle? Where does that come from?
I feel like I heard someone say it once in relation to, like, a remark on COVID. They were expressing a sentiment, talking to a friend, like, oh, we've known each other for years. And the friend was like, it's only been, like, 7 months. And they're like, time is a flat circle because...
Oh, I always thought it was a Doctor Who reference because of that whole, like, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey thing.
I mean, it could work. It could work.
I have no idea. I did watch some of Doctor Who. I watched the David Tennant run, but I stopped after that, so I honestly have no idea what's going on anymore.
No. I mean, the new season is fun. I started watching it. Yeah, Ncuti Gatwa is fabulous. And if you are watching, please fuck me. Oh my god, you're so gorgeous. Holy shit. So, and I love you.
He's the guy from Sex Education, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Dirty, you know.
Yes, but he was also in the Barbie movie too, wasn't he? Wasn't he one of the Kens? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think he was paired up with the girl from My Mad Fat Diary. Because, you know, it's like Barbie and Ken, and that was like the thing they were playing off of. I think it was meant to be very that.
Interestingly enough, did you notice in that movie that a lot of those actors were from Sex Education? Because Maeve was in it too. And so was
the bully, because he was he was Will Ferrell's assistant. And I swear there was someone else, but now I'm spacing. Maybe it was just 3.
I just recognized a bunch of people from that show. I was like, oh, hey, that's so-and-so.
It's a fabulous show, Sex Education, if no one's seen it. But listen, y'all, today we're introing season 4, which is obviously very exciting. Can't believe that we're still here to do this. Which is no chagrin to that, honestly. Like,
well, who knew that people would be listening 4 years later?
Well, I
didn't. I think I may have said this before, but I'll say it again. Like I loved your optimism in the beginning, but in the back of my mind, I was like, this is probably just going to fizzle out after a while. Like, ain't nobody going to give a shit after a while. And here we are 4 years later, people still listening. So
yeah, well, what have we learned from that? We don't listen to Tim when it comes to the
I'm just cynical. I can't help it. Okay, I'm a product of the '90s. I grew up watching Daria.
Well, what can I say?
Yeah.
What can I say except we're at season 4 and we're going to be talking, as per usual. Our intro is always a bit of a shorter episode. It's usually just a fun romp to talk about the bits and bobs of the show, the kind of back-end accounting. This is the week for it, and so if this isn't your cup of tea, fuck off. And if you like this kind of shit, tune in. This is fabulous. So, Tim, let me kick off here. I want to ask you, what do you think the improvement is majorly going to be from season 3 into season 4?
Well, I think that we have begun the process of potentially bridging that gap in between the gainer community and the fetist community. And, maybe like for the first time kind of showing people that like they're into the same things we are. They just, they have a different gender expression, but we all love the same thing. So I don't know why that fence has been up for so long.
Yeah, I've got to say, it is a privilege being who we are on this program because we get to talk to people every week. Like this is our fun. We get access to people because we're hosting the conversation. But for the rest of y'all, you don't know. Like, the ladykins out there are thick and gorgeous. And when you have these amazing banterous conversations, it's a vibe. Like, it's all the joys of gaining without the sex expectation. And it's kind of cool to experience like gainer dynamics without that because it's fetus and it's not quite what we're doing. So make sure you're all tuning into these episodes. If you're listening to someone who's across the aisle, make a point to really consider what they're saying and give them the chance to speak. And then maybe reach out to them and make friends because I think there's a real strong potential for like bridging some gaps, like you said, Tim. And that's what I'm most
Well,
looking.
and just a teeny little spoiler, some of the conversations that we've had with some of the guests that have come on, and you'll hear these episodes as they come out, is what I didn't realize is that on the other side of the aisle, they don't have meetups, they don't have parties, they don't have events that
Mhm.
they go to, and they were actually quite jealous that they all happen on our side of the fence. They're like, "Well, where's that for us?"
Yeah. And you know what? I think I've said something similar to this before that, and many of us who've grown up in small towns have that feeling. You look on Grommr, you're excited for potentially there to be gainers. Maybe there isn't anyone, or maybe the people who are there are people you don't get on with. If we open that up to the fetus space, y'all, like the ability to be social and like make friends is going to explode. And it's going to explode with fat. It's going to be fantastic. You'll just keep an ear out for the feeties and the fetus because they're coming in force this season. So you'll get ready because the conversations were fun. But I figure we can have a bit of a look through the stats. This is a big part of what we usually talk about. So let's do a bit of comparison. This time last year, when we recapped the stats, we were sitting at 33,000 roughly. And I
Mhm.
think that was a sort of 10K uptick from the
Yeah,
previous season. I think something along those lines.
something along those lines. Yeah.
This season, we are walking into season 4 at an estimated 60,000 downloads,
Wow.
near to
I
double.
Yeah. And that may sound small to some people, considering that a lot of podcasts you might listen to have over 1 million downloads per day. But for a niche market, like we're doing pretty good, I think.
Yeah, and the numbers are consistently doubling every single year. So, you know what, y'all? We're near 60,000 this year. I would love it if we could get to 100,000 by season 5. That would be fierce.
That would
Because
be
total downloads do also mean that we might be able to start opening ourselves up to sponsors, people who want to help facilitate more episodes, more opportunities for the show. So you'll better keep listening, tune in, listen and download episodes, mark them as viewed, download episodes on multiple platforms, do all that kind of stuff. Give us some love. That'd be fabulous, please and thank you. Along with which, as we like to remind you all, and we should probably do a little moment here to remind people, pretty please give us 5-star reviews and like write reviews for us because this stuff really helps to put us out there. It gets us seen by different people who are looking for gainer and fetus content, people who don't know what kind of words to look for, but they have kind of the vibe in mind. We've been getting feedback over the past season from more and more people who are rediscovering and coming to discover gaining, and it's really helping people. So keep up with the good stuff and please help us reach more people because it's only going to help. To that point, we've started saying it in the end show notes of every episode, but it's also there, I believe, as like a download link. If you click on any episode show note, you can help sponsor the podcast directly. If you would like to donate to us, you are more than welcome to do so. There is no obligation. There is no dollar minimum or maximum. Just if you so happen to want to do the thing and wish to be lovely and generous, please click on the link, support us, and be gorgeous. Thank you very much for that. In terms of the general back to forth, Tim, do you think there's any other bits we need to talk on?
I think that we could also mention that this year we are up for an award. We are finalists in the Full Figured Industry Awards for Outstanding Podcast.
Yeah.
And we got there because of the community.
Yes, we did.
So a couple of weeks ago, well, more like a month ago now at this point, we received our notification that we were finalists, but that we needed the community to vote for us to move us to the next round. So we did a full week of going live and talking about it, and I couldn't be there for the whole week because I ended up being busy the second half of the week. But I know you were there,
Hmm.
plugging away, inviting guests on, plugging our product, talking it up, and it worked because all of the community votes got us into the final round, where now the committee will review all of our material and all of the other nominees, and then decide who the winner is, and then we will find out if we won on November 2nd.
Exactly. It was a fun week, honestly, because even putting together the package, and I think we talked about this on one of those live streams, like, it is a little bit of an indulgence because they're essentially saying, like, oh, well, why should you be the recipient? Why should you win an award? And we're obviously sitting there going, well, we talk about good stuff. And they ask for examples. They're like, well, come on, show the receipts. And it was so wonderful getting to look back through certain episodes and sort of umming and ahhing about, which things we want to highlight. And it really kind of dawned on us just how good some of these conversations are. Like, I understand for all of you listening at home, many of you probably don't listen to the entire back catalogue, which is fair. Listen to what you want to listen to. But it really dawned on us that we take the time to really have some really powerful conversations with all sorts of different people in all sorts of different ways. So that was fun. It was fun to reflect
Yeah,
on the good things we've
it
done and all
was.
the great conversations. All the guests who came on were people who've loved on the podcast. It was great to revisit some of those chats. So who knows?
Remembering some things that we said that like it's funny because both you and I have had instances where someone who may have listened to an episode was like, "Oh yeah, don't you remember you said this on this particular episode?" And I want to be like, I think we're at what are we sitting at 153 episodes at this point,
Something
or
like
something like that. And I'm like, no, I don't remember. I'm sorry. That was, and we used to do. God, you remember when we would push for like a full week? We'd be doing 3, 4 episodes a day, and I couldn't tell you what I talked about in the episode at the beginning of one day to what I was talking about at the end of the day on a for an episode. Like,
well, it's funny because I did ask you before, like, what do you think is going to be different between season three and four? And I will say this, I think every season we've done the show, there is a little bit more polish to it. And I feel
yes,
very good about that
yeah,
because
I do too.
obviously when we did season one and season two, a lot of our episodes were we were finding anyone who wanted to be on and just kind of recording when we could. Oftentimes, some of the episodes that would come out would be recorded that very same week, which is fine, but for us, that felt like a bit of a rush. Whereas this season, we're very proud to say we're very far in advance. A lot of our
Yeah,
stuff's been logged, so there's actually quite a bit as of now, time recording, for season four that is already in the can, queued up, ready to go, and we are so excited for you all to hear it. So I think we can talk a little bit more about our stats. Now, I know that we've been on a number of different platforms in the past, and that list honestly just seems to keep on growing. So I think now's a good time just to go in and look at some of our platform bits and pieces. So in years past, we've been on Apple Podcast, Audible, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and a couple of other different ones. But doing a bit of research this year, we've actually come to find that we are on quite a few more, which is very exciting. So that list now includes Amazon Music, Angami, Audisim, Castbox, Castro FM, Chartable, Deezer, Fountain, Ghana, Get Podcast, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Geo7, Listen Notes, Overcast, People AI, Player FM, Pocket Casts, Podbay FM, Podcast Addict, Podcast Index, Podchaser, Podtoppin, Podimo, Podtail, Podverse, Podvine, Podyssey, lot lot of pods. Radio Public, Rephonic, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, UK Radio, and United Podcasters, which is fantastic. A lot of these are niche platforms as well, so they only
yeah,
pass for RSS feeds that are generating some kind of something happening on other ends because they want to get some of that business for themselves. So the more platforms we're on, honestly, speaks to the nature of people listening, tuning in, and finding us all over the web. So thank you all for contributing to that, really. Uh, Listener countries. Now, we've got quite the substantial list. Tim, do you want to go through these ones?
So our current listenership around the world includes all of the following countries: the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Germany, Ireland, Switzerland, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Chile, Mexico, Luxembourg, Sweden, France, Brazil, Spain, Austria, Belgium, Portugal, Finland, Puerto Rico, Singapore, Poland, the Philippines, Russia, Ecuador, South Africa, the Ukraine, Israel, Romania, Norway, the Czech Republic, Malaysia, Iceland, Italy, Paraguay, the United Arab Emirates, India, Benin, Indonesia, Turkey, Denmark, Croatia, Morocco, South Korea, Lithuania, Sri Lanka, Argentina, Cyprus, Greece, Panama, the Republic of Lithuania, Latvia, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Taiwan, Kuwait, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, Kenya, Colombia, Bahrain, Japan, Hungary, Honduras, Thailand, Slovakia, Uruguay, Antigua and Barbuda, Peru, Qatar, the Republic of Moldova, Costa Rica, Madagascar, Algeria, Bangladesh, Palestine, and Bulgaria, and a fucking partridge in a pear tree.
But to update to that list, we are now also being heard in the Dominican Republic, Mauritius, Estonia, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Lebanon, the Seychelles, Martinique, Jersey, Nepal, Suriname, Brunei, Malta, and Guernsey, which brings our total up to 92 countries, which we ran the quick maths on this means we are listened to across 47% of the planet, people, which is pretty amazing. Oh my God. And yes, a partridge in a pear tree. I love that country. It's somewhere in Europe, probably.
No, it's right next to what was the fictional country in the Princess Diaries? Genovia.
Genovia, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it borders Genovia.
Yeah, yeah, it's right next to that one. What was the one in that Q-Force show, the Christmas country?
Genorvia,
Genovia, and obviously
which was an obvious parody of Genovia. Like I loved that episode. That was the funniest episode.
that was a really good show. I really hope they bring it back.
I think it got canceled.
Oh. But moving on with our stats. So, last season, our stats showed as such. Our listenership was 87.7% male. It has actually gone down to 83.3% male, which means our total has lost out of 4.4% male listenership, which does not necessarily mean that our listenership has gone down. It just means that our other gendered categories have gone up. So, for example, last season, our female listenership was at 8%. Starting this season, it's at 11.2, which means we've grown by 3.2% for female. Non-binary has grown from 2% to 4.7%. So we're doubling more than of 2.7%. And now non-specified has reduced from 2.2 to 0.8. So we've lost out on 1.4 non-specified, which essentially just means that, the gender lines of people in listenership is becoming a little bit clearer. And that also means, as we mentioned, the need for female feedees and fetus relationships and those conversations is paramount because now more than 10% of all listeners are a part of that group. So shout out to all of y'all. And as we always say, we want you on the show. Please reach out to us. We would love to have you on to share in the magic of gaining and feedism together.
So our listener age demographic has changed a little bit as well. Under 17 was 2%, and now it is 0.8%. Our percentage between 18 and 22 went from 17% to 10.9%. Our age group from 23 to 27 went from 33% to 29%. Our demographic from 28 to 34 went from 33 to 37.7. So there was an increase there. Our demographic from 35 to 44 went from 12% to 18.1%. So again, there was a bit of a jump there. 45 to 59 went from 3% to 3.3, slight increase. And the over 60 was at 0%, but now it is at 0.2.
That's right. So we've lost some percentage. We lost 1.2 at the under 17s, 14.1 at the 18 to 22s, and 4% at the 23 to 27s. But we have gained 4.7 at the 28 to 34s, gained 6.1 at the 35 to 44s, 0.3 at the 45 to 59s, and 0.2 at the 60 plus, which I think is really interesting to see. It means that our age demographic for our listenership, which overall the numbers have increased. So even though it says we've lost percentage, that doesn't necessarily mean we've lost listeners. It just means that from the total pie of 100, we have gained enough listenership overall that it shunted the numbers slightly. Also, possibly because people just aged out. Like, people might have been at the upper echelon of one, and then they just happened to, go into the next category.
Very true. We have been on for 4 years, so.
We've been on for 4 years. That's also probably part of it as well. But it does show that our listenership is aging slightly and carries into that mid to late 30s category very succinctly. So, once again, encouraging listeners, if you are someone in that age demographic and you probably feel like there's not enough representation for people in your age bracket, talk to us.
Yeah, those of you who are my age, please come on the show. I'm always talking to people much younger than me.
Yes, which means we are specifically looking for Gilgamesh and Methuselah. If you are out there listening, please come on the show.
Like somebody who remembers shit from the 80s and 90s, please come on the show.
Yes, please keep Tim company. She's falling apart here.
So that when I make a reference, James doesn't just stare at me like, well, what's that from?
And because we are now on a couple of different platforms, we can also look at some other percentages as well. So, in terms of what platform people listen on, we can see the breakdown that it is at roughly 40.7% at Apple Podcasts, 37.7% at Spotify, 8% on generalized web browsers, 3.6% at Pocket Casts, 2.6% at iHeartRadio, 2.5% at Overcast, and 5% in other categories. So, our listeners really are spread throughout, and it will be interesting to compare that again by season 5, because, as we mentioned, there's an award show happening in November, which is roughly halfway through our season. We may win an award and then have to go back and then change the intro where it's like, welcome to an award-winning podcast, or an award-nominated podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
This could all lead to massive blowouts for us in a good way. Blow my back out. Do you know what I'm saying? Now,
don't blow mine out. I need it. I'm getting too old not to have my back working.
You need it working, I see. And finally, regarding our social media presence. So we have officially hit 1,000 followers on both Instagram and TikTok, which is very exciting. And we're nearly at 500 subscribers on YouTube, which is wonderful. So across all of our platforms, if y'all aren't checking us out on different places, please feel free to go and check us out. Well, listen, let me ask you this, because we talked a little bit about what listeners can expect to be different this season. I know last season we mentioned we would have transcripts, Tim. Do we have transcripts?
No, we don't. This is my personal demon that I'm fighting with, and I will conquer it.
You will. As I slowly, that meme...
As you're there, prodding me with a red hot poker.
It's not with a red hot poker, girl. It's a fully loaded Glock, and I'm like, I will.
You're from the UK. You're not known for being violent. You have to use a poker, not a gun. Now, if it was the other way around, I would be the one using the gun.
No, that's true. That's gonna be you, when you're fucking tired of me, agonizing you with this shit. You're like, shut up, you ginger! But, on that point, let's appeal to the community here. Transcripts are a process. Obviously it means listening into episodes, writing things down. There are certain things that we can use that may speed up the process, like YouTube. When we upload our episodes to YouTube, it can help us auto-generate some transcripts, but they're not word perfect. They do need a little bit of checking over. Some podcast platforms are trying to in-build transcript services for their podcast distribution, but similarly, nothing's perfect, and with a gainer community that has specified language, it is good to check over these things. So if anyone listening would like to help us out with transcripts, let us know. Tim would be very grateful.
Eternally grateful. Or if you could suggest a service that will do it for relatively inexpensive and is also accurate.
There's no point, babe. We've already been through this.
I know, but another one might have come up in the time.
Unless
you never know. You never know. The kids have all kinds of tricks. The kids have all kinds of tricks. These kids are way smarter with technology than my generation will ever be.
Tim, you realize if it's not free, we're going to be paying at least $3,000 for this. Because at 50 cents a minute, the amount of minutes we've generated for all the podcasts is about $3,000 worth of work.
I'll just work some extra shifts then.
Listen, bitch, I told you, if we make money off this podcast...
I will pay for convenience.
I was going to say, if we make money off this podcast, you'd be sad there I can't wait to make my paycheck. I would gladly be the curmudgeon parent who takes the fat wad off the top and is this is coming out for all of the transcripts. Here is your spare change, good sir. You can wait until next month for a decent paycheck. And there's you, like Oliver Twist, like with your little straw broken hat, like, please, sir, can I have some more?
No, I'd be like, fine, I'll just go back to hoeing and I'll
Ah!
walk right out onto the street.
Right, right on the street corner. Like everyone else's host sign is like, I need to pay to like put my kids through school, or like Mama needs a new iPhone. You're there like, I need to pay for transcripts, please. Won't somebody do it?
You won't believe the lengths I'll go to for convenience.
This is very true. And you know what? On a gainer topic, that's probably something we should talk about, like ways in which we can make the gaining experience more convenient for people, right? Because I think that's part of what appeals. It's like you don't want to have to stress with all these things. You want to kick back a little bit.
I thought the whole point of society progressing is that things were supposed to get easier.
Hmm.
Is that not the whole point? Is that not what the Industrial Revolution was about? Is that not what the technological boom was about? Oh, let's make everything easier.
Hmm.
But no, life's still a bitch.
No, that's very true. But in terms of this season, we talked about this, more of the guests, less of us. And have we met that? I think we have,
Yeah,
because
we have.
we've been, and I don't know if it's because the podcast has been around for long enough now. It feels like we're able to get more and more people who want to double up on episodes, people who want to come in and do roundtables, which is always very, very exciting for us. And we're coming in again with thick streams. We'd started doing them this year. I think that's very, very exciting because it's yet another opportunity to talk to new people, different people. Not everyone wants to be recorded on a podcast. Some people don't mind being on an Instagram live stream. So, great new opportunities for that, which, for a reminder, is the middle Sunday of every month. So make sure that you all are checking that out, okay? Is there anything that we didn't do in season three that you want us to do in season four?
Actually, I think that we might consider the idea of doing another video project. I'm not sure what form that will take, but people did seem to have a good response to both education and paging Dr. Gaynor.
Yes.
So I feel that that's probably the direction that they would like things to go in. So I mean, let's workshop some video project ideas together.
I'd like that. I do think Education was very successful, and the last couple of episodes are going to be coming out around the time this drops, so that will be ramping up soon. And I do think people have enjoyed it to an extent, which is wonderful. Of course, they were created to basically just give little bite-sized opportunities to learn about different concepts in and around gaining and fetism. So I think they work for that. Paging Dr. Gaynor, wildly successful. Every time there's a new video that goes up, because you get the notifications, we see the one that says, this is your most highly viewed video yet. And it's
Hmm.
just boom, thousands of clicks, which is wonderful. Clearly people want more of this, so who knows? Maybe we'll have to do a little bit more with Dr. Gaynor in season 4 if he's so willing. Um, but yeah, I think it's wonderful that people are engaging not just with the podcast, but all the sort of periphery bits that we're trying to pull together. So on that point, if anyone has suggestions for video bits or other projects you'd like to see us have a look at, again, DM us, personal message us, email us, all that good shit. You know where to find us by now. Where do you want to see the podcast by the time we hit season 5?
I want to see us with an award under our belt,
Oh yeah.
with a sponsor of some sort. I don't care if it's Chime. I don't care if it's Tushy Bidets. I don't care if it's the Squatty Potty. Just something, something. Um, and I also, I'm hoping to take myself to where you are
Mm.
so that I can experience Europe and maybe even film some stuff for Thicc Radio there or do a special episode while I'm in Europe because I have not gotten across the pond yet. And that is something that I need to do before I turn 50. So,
We will make it happen. So fingers crossed for us for season 5. And bears repeating, award ceremony happening in November. We're going to want to do some stuff when we're in New York. Um, Things I want to see for season 5. I want to see more opportunities to meet people in person. Because I do feel that, the last couple of years with COVID, obviously we've been on lockdown, we've all had our hesitations, things have happened. It's fine. It's what we've all been going through. 2024 feels like a bit of a different year. It feels like finally there's more opportunity to go out, be received positively for being out. So for me, I would like to see more people meeting up. I'd like to be able to meet up with more people myself. So if any of your motherfuckers are coming through London, let a bitch know. And Cleveland for Tim as well.
yeah, if you ever come to Cleveland, or if you're just passing through, if you're on your way somewhere else, like I get it. So,
So we kind of come back to this every now and again. It feels like every season there are like themes that we don't intend. We're truly not planning this shit, but it just feels like this is what comes out in the conversation every time. And I feel like last season, a lot of what we were talking about was that kind of community and mentorship and building up a lot of this stuff. What do you think the vibes are for season 4 so far?
I think it's, like I said earlier in the episode, bridging that gap between the gainer community and the feedist community, and realizing that I don't know why we've been separate for so long. I don't know why it's two different terms, other than the fact that gay men decided that it was called the gainer community.
Well,
Um,
I mean, if you look at I know Grommr did the project, the Grommr history situation, and I know
mhm,
it's kind of touched on there, men in the 80s wanting to separate themselves from the fetus side of things because this was a strong emergence of queer identity, especially in the wake of the AIDS epidemic. So I understand why it came about in such a way. And because many of us root ourselves primarily in sexuality, fair dues. We keep to
yeah,
our own, we do what we do. But I think in 2024, there's such incredible opportunity to really bring stuff together. And no, it doesn't mean you have to lose out on the things you've already got. But I think if we open ourselves up to opportunities, we could see a lot of fun happening.
yeah,
We've had fun, and that's just talking
yeah.
to people. So imagine what it's going to be like when everybody's together at the pool party, everybody's bringing a plate, everybody's fat and cute, bobbing around the pool, lotioned up, having a good fucking time, music's banging, vibes are there. It's a great time. So, but I think that's kind of it for this week's episode. Tim, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to flag before we wrap up and let the people enjoy season 4?
Nope, just keep listening, keep supporting us, because that's what keeps us going.
Mm, absolutely. And truly, thank you. I know we mentioned that before with the award and everything else that's going on, but truly, y'all, like, you all are the reason we do this. And we do stand by something we've said since season 1, which is this is a community show. This is for everyone. And it requires everyone to contribute and to make this work. So if you are a listener and you have never been on the show, maybe you have not felt certain about being on the show up until now. Maybe you've been pondering it. This is your moment. Please reach out to us because we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to have you on. And we'd love to take every opportunity to keep spreading the wide, wonderful message that is gaining in feedism. So, yeah, I think that's it, babe. I think that's it.
Sounds good. That sounds good.
For another week here on Thicc Radio, please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, leave us a good review. If you liked this episode, the podcast, or just us in general, please share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at ThiccyMouse. You can also look us up on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Thicc Radio, or at our website at podpage.com/Thicc Radio. If you want to submit a voice note or become a financial supporter of the show, you can find the links in the show notes, and you can always write to us at thethiccradio@gmail.com. So until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is a Patreon and Enter app podcast produced by Stan and Thicky Mouse.
Mixed and mastered by stannnum.
Our artwork is provided by Lokitu.
Our theme song is provided by Spotify.